All right, so the Protestant Reformation. I'm going to go through these questions here, and I want you guys to answer. I will call on you. All right, chapter 1. What were the causes and effects of the Protestant Reformation? Who can read this for me? Somebody read this? Hector, go ahead.
Growing concerns about the corrupt power in the Catholic Church in the 16th century. Forbidden? I can't read that.
Yep. Fomented
Challenges to the church, doctrines being known as the Protestant Reformation. Questionable church practices including
simony,
indulgences, excessive papal wealth, and denial, violations of the church, and biblical rules of behavior. The initial challenges to the Catholic orthodoxy was meant to reform the practices of the church, ultimately led to a
schism. It means breaking apart.
In European Christendom, they split into European Christianity, resulting in far-reaching political and social changes.
All right, very good. Thank you, Hector. All right, so chapter 1. What were the causes and effects of the Protestant Reformation? So, read number 1. What was the purposes of selling indulgences? From your reading. What was the purpose of selling of indulgences? Charlie.
To fund the construction of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome.
All right, so funding St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, okay? So, basically, we can infer that they are selling these. What are the indulgences? What are selling of indulgences? It tells you right here. What are the selling of indulgences? Papal pardons, which basically means from the Pope. Papal means the office of the Pope. So the Pope was selling pardons for your soul, right? You give me money, I will give your pardons to your soul for your sins. And they were using that money to do what? Build a cathedral. That was part of what it was going to. All right? So what should money be going to? If you're giving money to the church, what should it be going to?
Poor.
The poor, right? Very good. All right? Helping the poor, helping the people of your area, all right? But again, it was going to make themselves wealthy, to build these grand structures so they wear silk robes and gold chains and all of this, all right? So again, that's the first thing Martin Luther says is wrong with the church, is using money where it shouldn't be used. All right, very good. Number 2, which groups were impacted the most by the selling of indulgences? Keanu, go ahead.
Church officials, merchants, laborers, and bankers.
All right, so church officials, laborers, merchants, bankers, explain why. Can anybody explain why? Talks about, so group impacted the most by the selling of indulgences. Many groups prospered. What does that mean?
Revolted?
Not revolted, no. If you prospered, what does that mean?
Lack of profit?
No, well, you do make a profit. That's a good thing. If you prosper, you're doing good, right? Somebody who prospers is doing very well. I'm doing good for myself. All right, it's the complete opposite of suffered. All right, many groups prospered and suffered. Is suffered good? No. All right, so it gives you examples of both. Besides the steady flow of vast sums of money into the hands of the church officials, merchants, laborers, and bankers, so money is going into the hands of the church, right? How does it get to the hands of merchants, laborers, and bankers? You think these merchants, laborers, and bankers love you giving money to the church?
No, well, yeah,
they do. It just says they're doing well. So how does money going to the church prosper these working people? Merchants, laborers.
because they're like buying stuff.
Somebody's got to make all the stuff that the church officials want, right? Who's building this St. Peter's Basilica? The priest? No, right? Architects, laborers. All right, who's selling and buying and selling all the stuff you need for all these stuff? The merchants, right? So, hey, I need bricks for this building. I need silk for my robes. I need gold for this, right? I need all these things to make my church grand. You're buying it from somewhere, right? So they're loving them getting rich because in that way they're buying all this other stuff from them. All right, so they're doing very well for themselves. But then it says, on the other hand, state and national leaders, such as German princes, saw their coffers regularly depleted. Coffers are kind of like their own personal bank, if you will, all right, where they're keeping their money. It saw it depleted. What does depleted mean?
Like fall.
Yeah, go away, all right? As funds flowed south to Rome. So are they doing well? Are they prospering, the governments? No. It says that their funds are flowing south to Rome. What's in Rome?
The church.
The Pope's office, right? Yeah, so that's where the seat of the Catholic Church is. All right? So basically, all of these governments, these national leaders, these princes and kings and all of this, they're giving all their tax money where? To the church. Right, to the Pope and to the church. All right? So they are not doing well because of the wealth going towards the Catholic Church. These other people are, some aren't. Also, it talks about the poor. Are the poor doing well?
No.
Because their number one thing, right, in their life, is because they're so superstitious at this time, is they want to make it where? The poor want to make it where?
Heaven.
To heaven, right? So if I come to you, you have $5 to your name, but I say, I need $5 for me to forgive your sins, are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Yes. That might mean all the money you have to support your family, whatever you need, but your number one thing is pleasing God and making it to heaven, so you give that money, but you cannot afford it. Number 3, what were the practices of the church that were considered corrupt? So now we're actually getting into the meat of things. All right, now we're actually getting down into what these Protestant reformers said that the Catholic Church is doing wrong. All right, so what are some of the things they said were wrong?
Getting drunk.
Getting drunk.
Selling indulgences.
Selling indulgences. Again, we just talked about selling pardons for your soul. Gambling. Neglect of celibacy. Everybody knows what celibacy is? Please don't make me explain it. No one knows what celibacy is. Celibacy is when you are supposed to not have sex. Okay? So Catholic priests are not supposed to engage in sex, right? Because that's part of the Catholic thing, but it's saying they neglected it. So were they doing this? Yes, right? And they weren't supposed to be. So neglect of celibacy, drunkenness, gambling, selling of indulgences. It also says other questionable administrative practices, including simony, nepotism. All right, does anybody know what these are?
No, nepotism is like favoritism towards your family.
Favoritism towards your family. Okay, so say Charlie's my son, right? And then, can I pick on you for a minute? All right, you're more qualified for this job, right? But he's my son, and he's an idiot. Okay, who's going to get the job according to nepotism? Him, right? Now he's my son, so you get this awesome job. Yeah, you're more qualified. You're smart. You do this job great. I know he's not smart, right? But he's going to get the job. All right, that's nepotism. All right, so basically that's what all these are saying, is that these church leaders were giving jobs to people that didn't deserve it. It talks down here about pluralism. All right, pluralism is basically holding down two jobs that you shouldn't be. All right, two jobs going together. So say you're use an example, that you're the principal of the school and you're also the bookkeeper in charge of the money. Are those two jobs that you probably should have together? No. What can you think could go wrong? And I'm not saying anything about our principal. I'm just saying, what's something you could see going wrong?
Maybe he gets too busy.
Huh?
He gets too busy.
Okay, so it could be he gets too busy to handle the money part of it. Or who is there to check him? All right, if money goes missing? No one. Right? So, hey, I'm the leader, right? I want to spend a little bit of this money on a new car, right? No one's ever going to check to see if the money's missing, because who's in charge of checking to see if the money's missing? Him, right? Me. All right, so I'm in charge of checking to see if the money's missing, so no one's ever going to see. So, again, that's kind of pluralism, where you're holding two jobs together. All right, last one. How did the invention, use of the printing press impact the Protestant Reformation? This is a very important one. Your NC final exam, I bet you they ask you this, a variation of this, probably 6 times, about why the printing press is so important. All right? So, how did the invention, use of the printing press impact the Protestant Reformation? I'm going to go with Will on this one.
Ideas spread more rapidly and have a broader impact.
Right, they spread more, ideas spread more rapidly and have a broader impact. What does broader mean? Bigger, right? Wider. So instead of just your little town hearing about this Protestant Reformation, who can hear about it?
Everyone.
The whole country, right? The whole continent of Europe, eventually. How? How is this printing press, or somebody going to say something? It was affordable, right? It makes it very affordable. I don't know if you guys know much about how economics work, and I'm not saying you don't, but if something is handmade, you think it's pretty expensive?
Yes.
Right? When y'all grow up more and have to spend a lot more, when something says handmade on it, it's going to be a lot more expensive, right? All these Italian luxury stuff, they love putting handmade on it because they can charge you extra $100,000, whatever it is, okay? So when you make a Bible, handmade, you got to stitch the leather together, and you've got to sit there and write out the entire Bible. First of all, how many of those do you think you can make? One at a time. Not very many. I mean, it's going to take you, and that's all you did, it would take you months to write the entire Bible out with a quill pen, right, and dip it in ink. Take you forever. So you can't make a good quantity of it. If you don't have a good quantity of it, how many people can read? Not a lot. All right? But now with the printing press, we know what the printing press is. It's coming through, and I'm churning these bad boys out, left and right. Now I can distribute these books more widely, more broad, all right, and cheaper. All right, so instead of having, hey, it took me 6 months to write this Bible out, so I'm going to charge you $500 for it. Hey, I made this book in 5 minutes, right? Here, give me $3, right? You can add it to your town's library. Does everybody understand why that printing press is so important?
Yeah.
Made things cheaper, and when it's cheaper now, who can afford it? Everyone, the peasants, right? So no longer just the rich people or the clergy who can read. All right, now books are becoming more widely available, and not even just the Bible. What else can you read now because of the printing press? Anything you want, right? So that leads to this idea of cultural diffusion. All right, now because ideas are more widely available, we're getting out. Does everybody understand why this is helping you get out of the dark ages? Because before, I don't know why this is happening, right? I don't really care. I know my crops didn't come in. It just must be because God didn't want us to, or I did something wrong, hoodoo, voodoo, I messed up the spirits, whatever it is. Okay, now we're seeing like, oh, these people have this idea of there wasn't enough rainfall and the sun didn't set till this time and all this stuff that's scientifically based, and now it's getting you out of this time of intellectual depression. All right, so we'll move on to number 2.